Rudy's looking. This is time to pass by till he gets back. So this is very informal, y'all. We're gonna have fun today. So again, like I said, my name is Shalika Lott. I am the career coach for the College of Juvenile Justice and General Studies. Excuse me. I am excited. I am a PV alum. I actually majored in criminal justice, so just serving those students is really dear to my heart. So I'm gonna let my coworkers come up really quick. I do see Mr. Thomas is back in the building, and I'm gonna pass the mic. So I'll bring up my first colleague, Mr. Como. Come on down. You know how to make these career coaches, everyone. So yes.
Remember to get you later. All right, so my name is Rudy Como. I'm one of the career coaches here at Prairie A&M University. I serve the College of Business in line with majors of marketing, accounting, and
Yes, me.
finance. So marketing, accounting, and finance. And is there anything else you need?
Oh, just introduction. Whatever's laid on your heart.
Wonderful afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas. I have the privilege of being one of the career coaches for kinesiology. I'm also filling in for the forensic program, and agriculture program. I'm so excited to be here because when Ms. Locke gave this opportunity, and she said she was going to dive into forensics and really get some true forensic scientists, not the ones you see on television, but the ones you see really doing the heavy lifting that don't make things happen in 1 or 2 minutes, but take the time to make sure that they go through the process. It makes you appreciate what scientists have to do to make sure you get it right the first time. So the guest that Ms. Locke doing today is going to be really, really great, very, very fun to get to know too. Here at Prairie, we're excited because one of the things that our new president, Dr. Grant, did is that she launched something called the PBK program. And in the PBK program, she gave us 3 professionals for every single undergraduate student. She gave you one, a financial advisor, to make sure that you are financially literate and understand what you're dealing with as it relates to your financial needs. She gave you an academic advisor to make sure that you understand the steps you must take to be successful as you go through this academic journey. But then she added a twist to it. She put in there a career advisor, a career coach. And that's where we come in. That's where Mr. Como, and then you can from the Evans. And then we also have a special treat for you guys because we have our employee relations manager with us today, which is to try to make sure that all this stuff connects. So we're excited about this opportunity, and we just got to give it up to Ms. Locke for what she's doing because she's really connecting the dots to help you understand how your career interact with your academic, interact with your financial, so that when you get under prayer, you know what you're going to do. It's all about making sure that you, as students, have the full understanding what you're going to do at the end of this whole journey of college. So, once again, my name is Herb Thomas. In addition to serving as a career coach, I'm honored to be working with these 5 folks as the assistant director for the Department for Career and Professional Development. At this time, I'm going to introduce one of the superstars of the office, Mr. Cooper.
Architecture, construction science, visual arts.
So. Yeah, hold it to train.
It's
Green. Yeah.
So my name is Teresa Sidor. I am a employee relations manager. So I am here for employment. So I'm here for my employers. I will be in contact with you once I have to go out of it. And also searching our things that nature to recruit our spouse. That would be. And for my spouse, I'm the person that all these wonderful employers. I'm not a lot of different things, but usually I'm the person that really came here on campus to get jobs. We'll put slide down wall, put things that nature, go walk out the door. As you see, or paying attention to your emails, because when I get these opportunities, these trips, whether it's for employees, I work with the internship coordinator as well, these trips to your coaches, they send them to you. So the opportunities I have on campus as well as outside, this is where they're coming from. So make sure you pay attention to your emails from the coach. So kind of be on your line on these options.
Thank you, thank you. We're gonna go ahead and get started. We have four amazing speakers that are here today that are gonna share some valuable information with you about their careers, about their journey. And we even have some props, y'all. Give it up for props. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our first speaker. And of course, I'll just pass the mic. Our first speaker we have, I'm gonna read the bios. And in advance, I'm gonna apologize because I'm gonna have this printed. But guess what we're gonna do? I'm gonna switch it on screen and I'm gonna read it off. We got you. So we have our first speaker. It's gonna be Sergeant Oscar Casablanco. That's pronounced right? Yes, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit about his bio. We got pictures, y'all. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Investigator Sergeant Casablanco is an arson investigator with Harris County Fire Marshal's Office. Prior to joining, the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, he served for 8 years as a patrol deputy and 3 of those years as a patrol supervisor with Harris County Constable's Precinct 4 office as a corporal investigator. Mr. Casablanco has 12 years as a veteran in law enforcement. Is currently assigned to the Investigation Bureau. His duties include investigating the origin and cause of fires or explosions that threaten life, property, or the environment. In addition to investigating, assisting, or overseeing and coordinating with other investigators during the tour and operations. While investigating the origin and the circumstances of an assigned incident, most determine whether the event was the result of the design, carelessness, or intentional or natural causes based on nationally recognized standards utilizing the National Fire Protection Association, known as NFPA 921 and NFPA 1033. All operations are conducted in both English and Spanish languages. Some of his awards or his accolades include being recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which is known as MAD, for his work and commitment in the DWI enforcement for 2016, 2017 years. Investigator Casablanco was additionally recognized by the Harris County Toll Road Authorities as the DWI Task Force Deputy Constable of the Year for 2017 and the Officer of the Year for 2018 by the Harris County Constable's Department Precinct 4. Mr. Casablanco graduated from the Basic Police Academy at the University of Houston downtown, where he was the top academic graduate of his class. Hats off, yay. Investigator Casablanco obtained his bachelor's degree of science with technology management from DeVry University, and graduated with summa cum laude honors. All right, so put your hands together for
Well, she sets up everything over here. I'll have one presentation for you guys. Everything that you see down here is active and actual equipment that I do use on my investigation. So if you guys have a chance, curiosity, you will welcome to come down here, take a look, poke on it, mess with it, whatever you like. It's stuff for visual.
That's gonna be. Let's see this.
Sending body worn down in 15 seconds. Body worn down canceled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can you never go. Oh, that's right.
Give us a second, y'all. 6 seconds. Jaden?
And two, you have a tweet. You have a three or two straight down. Okay, got it. Didn't like that. Is it open that?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe down.
It's down.
There you go.
There we go, yes,
You got it.
Oh, okay.
Boom.
that's right.
Back on.
See how we did, that was a light person, we didn't give up, yeah.
Yeah. Almost got you. Yeah. Okay, so, afternoon, everybody, how's everybody doing? Afternoon, everybody, how's everybody doing? Well, I gotta talk to you like an admin. All right, so we're here today, I'm gonna give you kind of an oversight and overlook on what my day-to-day, what I do, everything that the department stands for, as also a representation of the department that I work for. Harris County Fire Marshal's Office is who I do work for. Next one. And again, introductions aside, continue. And again, we'll skip that. You guys are a good mouthful of everything about me. So I got a little video here. I'm gonna play this real quick. It's kind of a very small clip of our department and everything that's involved. Go back to the phone. No, back up. That one. Go to the mouse. And then hit play.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it is. Let this play for a bit and I can see that. Remote.
Make it look side. Mhm.
Become a candidate. Right. I'm trying to.
There it is.
Hit play again. Let's see if it'll. Not that. Oh, there's no. Yeah, there's no sound.
There's no sound. We apologize for this, there's no sound.
No sound.
Oh.
The normal just like this one, it's like a little. There's no word. You can see the cross, taking across it all time.
Yeah. Business. Yeah. You too.
Okay, so the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office is a standalone law enforcement agency, and we're unique to the fact that we serve approximately 54 different fire departments that are located within the county. Of that, we are a total of 12 full-time investigators. We're divided by 3 lieutenants, 2 captains, a deputy chief, 1 auxiliary canine, 2 part-time investigators. We do operate a hazmat team that does come out and force and assist any kind of hazmat operations, and we have a training division as well as inspectors. So the reason why everyone is here for, right? So introduction. So what is CSI, right? CSI, crime scene investigations. So CSI is definitely those type of words, those big words that you guys hear a lot and have seen before on crime scene shows such as CSI. So it's important to understand that there are definitely differences between what is shown on television than what is actual reality. So the crime scene arrival, so the reality on in terms of television, TV, detectives and lab techs arrive to take over the scene. And you see them do it on TV, and it was all very professional, very nice, and with all the red and blue flashing everywhere. Reality, first responders go to the scene first. So uniformed officers, such as myself, and as such, go to the scene and wait for crime scene investigators to actually arrive. So there is a definite emphasis on chain of custody of protocol whenever there is a actual real life version of crime scene that occurs. The difference in terms of what my operation is I'm actually the first responder / the CSI person. So what makes my position unique as opposed to what those positions deal with and do on their own operations, I wear multiple hats. Now, this isn't true in most circumstances. I am what you call kind of a unique acorn in the sense where we will have a responder, which in this case, we get our responses from the fire department. Fire department arrives. Let's say, for example, there's a residential home that got burned down to a crisp. They call us, say, we can't figure out how in the world this fire happened. Can you help us out? That's when we show up. When we show up, we're the investigators to make that determination, to determine the origin, and to determine the cause of said fire, and do whatever we need to do to get to that final hypothesis to make that determination. The way we do that is through the equipment that you see there. In addition to our investigation, our analysis of the scene itself, and interviews and interrogations. Evidence collection. On TV, investigators usually collect these evidence quickly. They often do it alone. In reality, evidence is collected in a very methodical process that involves multiple professionals, and very heavily documented. The use of gloves, tweezers, paper bags, and plastic. And again, a lot of those features are right over here. Whenever you guys have time to go take a look. On TV, it's relatively quick when they show it, and they try to make it very dramatized and make it very exciting. Like, wow, look at this. This is great. This is awesome. What we're doing. This is the solution to a mystery that we can piece together usually within the end of a 60-minute episode. Right? Sometimes even less than that. Real life. We put all these things together. We have to time it. We have to label it. We have to show and measure, hey, for example, if I took something off of this exact spot on the podium, I have to measure the distance between that wall and here. Then measure the distance from here to that wall. So I can get the exact points to where I picked it up. Because that's important. Because anybody can go future-wise, looking ahead, because it's how you have to think of things. All this stuff right here eventually can go to trial. When and if it does go to trial, you have to be able to answer. Explain. Where did you find it? How did you get to that conclusion? Why was it important? What did you discover? How is it in relation to my client? Where you're accusing, who is not a defendant of this case. So I have to explain all that. And how do you explain all that besides your own documentation? So this is why documentation is very important, why it's listed as a very powerful project. Because without the documentation, we have. Judge, that's hearsay. How far does hearsay get you? Your word against mine? And who are you? Or how? What does that mean to me? It doesn't mean anything. That's reality. Hence this thing. Hold on.
Not recording. Found it. Wi-Fi disconnected.
Always right. Time frames, again, and this is getting back to what I just discussed, in 60 minutes, right? On TV show. Reality, take weeks or months. I have a case that is currently active right now that was involving an arsonist that threw Molotov cocktails at business. And we have no idea why. The owner has no idea why. But we just have this unusual person, for whatever reason, decided to do it. Well, they left a lot of evidence behind, right? There's evidently some DNA on the items. There's some possible fingerprints on those items. I may not hear back on any of those items for another month, 6 months, maybe a year. I had one case that I just finally got some information from, and it was a year ago. Think about that, and put that in perspective for you. Let's say, for example, a case like this happened, a house burned down, and I have evidence in DNA, and I submitted it. It's been a year. You know how many cases have gone by within a year? By the time I get that information back, and I'm looking at it and said, oh, it was Bob. I knew that was the guy, but I wasn't sure. But now I can actually replace it. Where is Bob anyway? It's been a year. Does he even live in Houston anymore? Did he move somewhere? Now it's time to try to go and track down Bob. In addition to my other 100 cases that I'm working on, in between everything up to that point, that I had to put on hold and try to look for Bob. And see if he wants to talk with me about what was on his mind that day he burned that house. That's reality. So, I use this image, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that image at all. Does anyone can tell me what that is, that image of it? How long did it take for you to cook those grits? So, I use this because, again, this is going back to television, right? They give this dramatic testimony and flashy visuals, and they try to make it exciting and interesting, right? The reality is, it's very factual, technical, and it's very dry. Extremely dry. Say, you're the witness. Have a seat. Here's your seat. Here's a mic. I'm the witness. The judge is sitting here. My record keeper's right there. Our jury is sitting right over there. And I'm just staring at a bunch of eyeballs staring right back at me. You swear someone swear to the whole truth, none but the whole truth, so swear God. Is that? Say your name. Do I have to sit here and tell you my whole life? Okay. How long have you been doing this for? So many years. What do you do now? I do this. Anything else? No, that's it. Okay. Were you here that day? Yes, I was. What did you do? I had no ticket. What did you investigate? A fire. I'm not joking. It is one step at a time. And I implore y'all, if y'all ever have the time to go and actually sit in a court proceeding, please do. It's extremely educational. To sit there and just watch. I'm not joking. Please, if you are interested in doing anything like this, go sit in one. Sit in two. Sit in 10. Court proceedings are very dry. But if you're focused on what it is at hand and interested in criminal justice, you will find interest in it. But only if you actually have interest in it. So what's the real challenge that we actually face when it comes to this? There's budget limitations, human error, contaminated or incomplete evidence, misinterpretation of the findings. Money is everything. Right? If we don't have the money or the funding to be able to back up the products that we need to actually do the job, you're limited. You have to go look for additional resources, whether that be money or other agencies or partner agencies to assist. Human error. We're all humans at the end of the day. I got to be hard under all this just like you guys do. Do I make mistakes? You absolutely believe so. Yes, I do. I make mistakes. I am not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Absolutely not. Contamination. So let's go back to what I do. Contamination. This is what makes this job unique. Fire department. What do they do when they come into the house? Grab that hose and do it. Right? Put the weight on the fire, right? Put the weight on the red. That's all they do. Oh, that wall's still burning. Put that out. Oh, I got one more right here. In that example, what did I just do? Contaminated, right? So in the fire profession, I won't even say that, in the profession of foliation, that's the key word. When the evidence is contaminated, what do we have left to pick up? The pieces, right? So now we have to figure out, okay, so if this is of importance and we're picking this up, we also have to factor the part that one of your firefighters also has a footprint that's in the middle of my scene. That's gravity. There was another, let me go back a second, guys. I had another one on there, and I don't know why this skipped it for some reason. Let me see if I can try to get it back. I had one more slide on it. Yeah, between here, there was another one. I don't know why it's skipping it. Let me try to grab it real quick. Okay, so this was much earlier, so just pretend it was much earlier. So the CSI effect, okay, and again, this is why most of y'all are in here for, so for CSI, the TV shows, and we've already kind of touched base on this a little bit, how the public perceives forensic sciences, impact on jury expectation in terms of real trials, influence on criminal justice students and career choices. Now, again, I could be wrong, you're welcome to correct me if you like, but a lot of you guys and probably others that are very interested in this profession probably got interested in this profession because of TV shows that are out. More than likely. Fair enough to say? It is because of this CSI effect, CSI effect that I'm mentioning is what got you guys into liking or having any interest in the profession. And again, this is just to go over and have a clear understanding of the reality of what that is, as opposed to what we have seen and what you have come to know on screen. That is always advertised as this amazing, great thing that in 1 hour I can figure out whose fingerprint this is. That's not necessary. And the great part is I have a speaker that's all about fingerprints. Ma'am. Oh, the great part is I have a speaker that's here that can talk more about fingerprints. He'll be introduced later. Sorry about that. Okay, so in conclusion, recap again on major differences, TV versus reality. TV shows do entertain, real CSIs do seek justice through science, such as the scientific method. I'm sure some of you all know, we already heard that before. And always question what you see on screen. Whatever you see on screen doesn't necessarily mean that's the real thing. Same thing that I think all of us are guilty of social media. Just because you see social media and you see one part of that video doesn't mean that's the whole truth of that video. If you rewind and actually see from the very beginning and what occurred up to the point of that video clip that they showed, that gives you the whole aspect of what's actually happening versus that one clip of the guy just saw somebody in the head. You know, why did he do that? In addition to that, I got a few photos of our actual scenes that we have been involved in. This is what we wear, this is what we use. These are actual casework findings that we have, in this case, involving residential homes, apartments, leasing offices. Events that happen in the middle of the night. Because primary sleep says, there's a close that sounds, it's the back. What we have left to work with. Evidence contamination. But on the scene, in the bedroom, this is what we see. In order to get to the bottom, literally, of the scene, we clean it up. I clean it up. Shovels. On man's knees. With this on. Or what you're using that. Or by the. Then Orton. Right there. Evidence. Again. For earlier. CSI. Really? I did pull a drone up here. That is an image from a drone that was utilized on the scene. Mark and utilize our evidence tags, and then how we utilize our evidence tag. And this is just a quick ending to all this.
Awesome.
And yes, people still do this. That's the best image that we could get right before the camera starts. That one was just have introduced people here, right? That one was the owner couldn't make his dues of the facility and hired someone to come in and do that for him. So yes. Last minute questions? Anybody? Okay. All right, thank you guys.
Y'all give it up. We will have like panel question time at the very, very end. So while we are, soon to our next, okay, good. So we're going to our next speaker. So, this is pretty exciting. Of course, he's going to give some information about his, bio. So, again, he's one of 3 full-time forensic artists in the state of Texas and the only, I say African American.
Yeah.
Full-time forensic artist in the United States. So that's pretty awesome. So clap for that. That's pretty awesome. Look, forgive me, I don't know how, but I print the bio, so guess what? He's going to tell you about himself. And then, so give it up for Mr. Thurston Johnson. Okay, looking over real quick, y'all.
Just give us a little bit. Yeah, I've been a police officer for 25 years total. Yeah.
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, that's fine. It's up there. Files. That's it, let's. That's I have you guys out. Give me a minute. There you go.
That's it? Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
It-
Thank you. There you go. And then slideshow. There we go. Thank you, guys.
Okay, now you do it.
The order you can find the
Thank you guys for having me.
window up. You can see the site.
Look forward to speaking to you guys about forensic art. Forensic art is all forensic art. So there's still few forensic artists in the whole world, in the country. There's only 3 full-time forensic artists in the state of Texas. There's 50 full-time forensic artists in the country. And then there's 50 freelance artists. So you can be an artist and a freelance artist also. So that is what a lot of forensic artists do, especially if you have artistic skills. How many people in this class draw? Anybody draw? Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to, I want to get this out because it's sort of a dying art. There's just not that many forensic artists. And so few people actually doing it. Is doing it.
I'm gonna get the other mic. You said you.
There you go. And so a lot of people don't understand what forensic art is. Does anybody know what forensic art is? Does anybody have a clue? Anybody know why would you get a forensic artist to help you out? If you're an investigator? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's a police sketch artist. That's exactly what it is. We assist with helping to find who the suspect is or even finding this. Yeah, and that's everybody answered it correct. That's what we do. And there's different methods of forensic art. There's different types of forensic art. A lot of people only know there's one specific type of forensic art, and that's a sketch artist. There's other aspects of forensic art. I'm gonna touch on that with you. Forensic art is application of techniques like drawing, image modification, to aid in legal investigation, primarily for identification purposes. So we're just trying to get somebody identified, or especially if there's a witness for a crime. They'll help the investigator, help the officer identify who the suspect or the client or the victim is. Cases. The purpose of forensic art aims to assist in identifying individuals whether they are victim, suspect, missing person. We get a lot of missing persons or unidentified deceased individuals. So if there's somebody unidentified or deceased, we help get them identified for their loved ones. There's composite drawing. That's what I do. That's primarily the goal of the Houston Police Department is composite. So we'll sit down with this and come up with what the suspect or victim is. There's image modification, image editing. And we get a lot of that too. We assist a lot of other police agencies with bad images, bad videos, grainy images. We try to enhance what those images look like so we can get the suspect identified from grainy, bad videos. There's facial reconstruction. Facial reconstruction is when we have somebody who's deceased or decomposed, we can reconstruct what that person looks like, either two-dimensionally or three. And then there's crime scene sketching. There's another aspect of forensic art where they sketch the crime scene or redraw it or reconstruct it for court purposes. We don't really do that for our department. We mainly stick with the composite drawing. I'm a history buff. I have a degree in history. So what happened with me was I loved art growing up. My dad hated art. He was all about sports, basketball, athletics in school. And so that's what I did. But I could still draw. I actually did my drawings with my dad, but I could still draw. I have artistic skill. I come from an artistic family. Either you're a musician or you can draw. Me and my brother paint. Everybody else sings. My brother was the singer. So everybody in my family, we're all artistic. And all my kids play violin and some sort of instrument. But I have a degree in history. I went away, played college basketball in Chicago, and I got a degree in history and thought I'd be coaching basketball. I never thought I'd be in the law school. I thought I was going to be a basketball coach, coaching the U of H or someplace like that, being on TV, on ESPN. Didn't happen. So I ended up just going ahead and got into law enforcement. I had a buddy of mine said, "Hey, you make a great cop." And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" So I ended up applying and working for the Dallas Police Department. I spent my first year, spent the year in Dallas Police Department. Met Mag's wife. She did not like Dallas. She's like, Houston's the place to be. So I ended up down here in Houston, working for Harris County for a little bit. And then she was already with the Houston Police Department. Like, come on over to the Houston Police Department. So I joined the Houston Police Department. Did patrol investigations. I did a bunch of other cool stuff. I did vice work. I did undercover work. I worked in a tactical team. Running warrants with narcotics. I did all that cool stuff. But I really was still trying to figure out. The only thing great about the Houston Police Department is there's tons of avenues of where you can go and where you can be. You never know where you're going to go with a large department like the Houston Police Department. But I have a degree in history, so that's why I have a little bit about history. But research back in the FBI archive revealed that the earliest use of forensic art was in 1920. And that was for a day where somebody bombed a office in the Wall Street business district. Somebody was a blacksmith, saw the person, they got a composite artist to come in, they did the sketch, they were able to catch the suspect. Back in 1920, that was like the first composite sketch. These are some famous forensic sketches of famous suspects. This is the sketch of the Lindbergh kidnapping. How many people know Charles A. Lindbergh? First person fly across the Atlantic. His child was kidnapped at 3 years old. And the suspect did it, held him for ransom. The child ended up passing away during the kidnapping. So they were able to come up with a composite sketch of this suspect. This is D.B. Cooper. He took a flight from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, and that was his name, D.B. Cooper. When he got the flight, he held the plane hostage, and then asked for $200,000, which isn't much now, but he asked for $200,000 in a parachute. He escaped. They still never found this guy. This is a composite sketch of what he looked like. This is the Zodiac Killer out of California. Back in the 1960s, he said he's killed over 37 victims. This guy still has not been caught, but this is another famous composite sketch. This is Oklahoma City bomber, Timothy McVeigh. I'm from Oklahoma City. I remember when this happened. I was playing college basketball in Chicago. I picked up a call home. All the phone lines were down. This guy, they caught him on a traffic stop. And they were to identify him through a composite sketch. Like that. This is Ted Kaczynski, the uniform. He went on a bombing campaign in 1995. He killed he ended over 23 people, and he was just dropping off bombs in front of people. He was angry, and this was his form of protest. The Houston Police Department is one of the few departments that has a forensic artist. A lot of police departments don't even have full-time forensic artists. That's why there's so few of us. Lois Gibson, she's a world-famous forensic artist. She happened to work for the Houston Police Department. She was able to form our forensic art unit because she was the first forensic artist. She did it for over 40 years. She's been very successful. She's in the Guinness Book of World Record. Her sketch is catching the most number of suspects in the world. I think she's caught over 5,000 suspects using her sketches, her composite drawing. She's been all over TV, Good Morning America, the early show, Oprah. She's been on everything. So in 2019, she decided to form the forensic art unit because she was about to retire. And so I've been training with her since 2016. I just happened to pick up drawing again in 2015. And she happened to see some of my artwork and said, hey, you're going to be a forensic artist. I'm like, sure, I don't know nothing about forensic art, but okay. So she took me to her office, explained everything, and I started training with her, learning what's going on, learning how to get it. So in 2019, she's about to retire. She said, hey, I need a. Okay, so we created the forensic art unit. All of us work with Harris County, Missouri County, all different counties. And anywhere that anybody needs a sketch, we help them out. And so what we do mainly do is witness memory sketches. That's what I talk about. We'll sit down with a victim and come up with what the suspect looks like. And these are some of the tools that we use, just paper and pencil. We use visual aids like this book right here. So we're putting together like a puzzle. This is called a Steinberg catalog, a book of facial features. So what I'll do is I'll sit with the victim, like, hey, with his eyes, head, nose, mouth, lip, and I'll come up with what the suspect looks like. People think these are going to be exact drawings of the suspect. They're never going to look exactly like the suspect. It's not going to look like a portrait. All these sketches go out to the media so they can get a tip. So somebody can say, hey, this looks like so-and-so. And you can look into that person. So we'll have multiple facial features on don't have to combine them and put them together. This is based off people's memory. So we'll sit down and talk, we'll talk to them about what's going on, what happened that day, and see if they can come up with any kind of memory, anything they can remember about the suspect. This was an assault on Memorial, Forest Drive. This is another assault at Memorial Park. This person. This guy turned himself in when he saw the sketch. He saw it in the news and turned himself in and said, I'm calling. This guy cut his dreads when he saw that it went out to the media. This is based on people's memory. We'll sit down and talk to them and we'll come up with what these suspects look like. So it might be taking an hour or 2 hours. This is another forensic artist. She did a study, a 500 sketch, 211 led to arrest. So our clearance rate is about 41%. So you go from not having any kind of clue of who this person is to 41% chance of catching the suspect. Problem is, we don't get it used a lot. We have to wait for investigators to call us. I just got a call from another law enforcement agency last week. They're like, hey, it's been almost a year. We exhausted we exhausted every way, any way we can try to find the suspect who assaulted a 50-year-old boy. Can you help us? So usually we're like the last resort to try to catch these bad guys. A forensic sketch alone is not enough to make arrests. It's not enough probable cause for arrest. It's just enough for reasonable suspicion, but it's not enough probable cause just based on our sketch. So it's just a tip. That's why it hits Crime Stoppers and news, just so we can get a tip to come in. This is age regression sketches. And so that's another aspect of forensic art. So if somebody's missing, we can age regress into how old they should be or how old they are. This is post-mortem sketches. We do skull reconstruction. And so this is the process of when we find the skull. So we find somebody decomposed their skull, we can reconstruct what that person looks like, 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional. That's 2-dimensional. Sketches from videos. And these are all the other forensic artists in the world that I work with. We work with guys from Germany, Canada, everywhere. So we'll all meet, train with each other. So we train with the II, International Association of Identification. That's where all the forensic science people come in. Train blood splatter experts, crime scene investigators. My discipline of forensic art is all this. So this is my unit. And I hope to talk to you guys afterwards. I have tons of information. If you guys are interested in forensic art. Thank you, guys.
Okay, awesome, guys. Thank y'all so much. So we're going on now to our third presenter. And of course, he's actually a professor here at Purdue, so I'm going to read his bio. Again, his name is Gary Clayton. With over a decade of experience in law enforcement and forensic science, Gary brings a solid foundation in both field operations and advanced analytical work. A U.S. military veteran with 8 years of service, he transitioned into civilian law enforcement as a forensic investigator with Harris County Office, where he specializes in crime scene analysis and evidence handling. Currently leading as a printing examiner, Gary applies expertise in fingerprinting identification and forensic technology to support criminal investigations with precision, and integrity. He holds a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in security management with concentration in cybersecurity, bridging the gap between physical evidence and digital threats in today's ever-evolving security landscape. Known for his discipline, attention to detail, and commitment to justice, Gary continues to contribute meaningfully to forensics and security communities through both hands-on work and continuous professional development. Gary currently serves as an adjunct professor with the College of Juvenile Justice here at Prairie View A&M University. Y'all, let's give him a round of applause as he comes forward.
I know some of my students are here. I've been a forensic investigator for approximately 34 years. I started out in 1998, probably before one of you were born. My students told me that. As a forensic investigator, I work at the sheriff's office, and I work along with, we do parallel investigations with the arson guys. We also work with some of the HPD forensic guys. We're all a tool for the investigators, whether it's violent crime, homicide, no matter who the investigators are, we're all a tool for them. We find the evidence, give it to them. They develop leads, they're able to talk to people and possibly come up with an arrest. I'm gonna go briefly through what a forensic investigator deal with on a daily basis. And then I'll talk about some of the avenues that are allowed or that are open for you in reference to employment. When do they get done? It's gonna be. No, it's gonna be. I mean, I'll. Yes. Yes, it's it. Whatever it is. Yes, well. Fine. Yeah.
No problem. Sorry, let me just a second.
Well. Okay, so again. Oh. Okay. So you're gonna have to, and the next one, see if you can. If you can click that, we'll try to see if we video work. After that. Do this thing. So like Sarge said, when most people think about forensic science, this is what they think about the show CSI. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And now with the advancement of technology and everything, the majority of the testing that you see or the analysis that you see in the video can now be done in the lab. Some of it is done in our personal lab, but the majority is done at the MD's office. Sarge talked about how he submit evidence to the MD's office for his DNA. He has to wait like a year for results to come back. We use the same lab that they use in reference, and we submit DNA samples. Now, some of the stuff that we do, I will show you, we do some of the analysis ourselves in-house, but then a bunch of it goes to the lab, to the MD's office for analysis. Yeah. So one of the instructors that you first start as a forensic investigator, you have to take classes like homicide investigation. One of the detectives from New York deemed this phrase, speaking for those who can't speak for themselves. Because basically, when you're doing investigations, you're speaking for people that are no longer here. The majority of scenes that we go to and the majority of scenes that we investigate deal with death. So we have to go and collect evidence and let that evidence tell us what happened. So we can go to court and speak on all the evidence and possibly get a conviction as to what happened at that scene. So when they say speaking for those who can't speak for themselves, that's the investigator's job. So before we get into some of the aspects, this is actual scene that I was called out to on northwest side of Houston. And you can see just by looking at it, it's just a desolate area. It's just in the woods, dirt, and you wouldn't think very much of it. And this is one, the majority of the time when the arson guys, they may have an arson, and if there's a body there, they're not gonna work the body part, they're gonna work the arson part. They're gonna call us to work the body part. Can you see what that is? It is definitely a person. That's a decedent that was burned in part of the Harris County, Northwest Harris County, in the woods. And that's what's left after being burned. Now, when you first come onto the scene like this, you would immediately think what? Besides my students, what would you think happened? Just looking at the photo. You would think what? You would think foul play? Yeah, it definitely got burned. But you would think foul play, yes, sir. Yeah, you think he got burnt? I figured the arson guy would think he got burnt. So just by looking at it, you would think that, yeah, it was foul play, based on just the first photo. But then now you get a close up and you can see more of it. You can see your decedent, but you can also see some artifacts along with the decedent, right? And if you look close, this one I have a point. You can look close, you can see right here. Can you see what that is? Probably can't see with the lights on. Can you see what that is? Well, that is the torso up here, but that right there is an actual laptop. So you can see now that it's burned, you can see some of that out. It was in a case. You can see the batteries right there. So not only when we do the investigation, now we have to take that along with some of the other articles that I found in the area. Like if you look close right there, there's a clasp or metal buckle, so you can tell that it was possibly in a leather attaché case. And there's some other stuff in it. It is a watch, right here. You notice that it's a watch of the decedent phone. It is. So this is the kind of scenes that we work. And in working these scenes, you not only have to understand the science behind the scene, you have to get into how the person lived and some of the things that they deal with, maybe religion, culture. So when we first got here, this was found, some guys were out playing in the woods, four-wheeling. They got stuck, was looking for help, walking through the woods, and then they find this person. This was next to him. So with this, we can send it off for examination, try to find the accelerant that was used, but using this can, what do you think he used? Gas, right, gas. So still, based on what you see, do you still think it's foul play, right? Exactly. What are these? Yeah, so they're fireplace starters. The Duralogs you put under the regular wood and they start fire. They help start the fire in the fireplace. So this was found also next to the decedent. So you kind of getting the idea of what may have happened. But just based off the photos alone, you're going to get a certain perception. But then when you go through the whole investigation, it was found that it was suicide. He set himself on fire, and it's a culture thing. He felt disgraced by his family. He got kicked out of his apartment. He didn't have anywhere else to go. So instead of going back to his family and relying on his family, he decided to take the easy way. Well, it wasn't easy for him, but the easy way out, which is suicide. The woods that he was found in is adjacent to the apartment where he lived. So the investigators were able to find that out. And then based on some of the items that I found on scene, and then we found his car parked close by, went through the car, found some items in the car, and was able to tie everything together. When working these scenes, there's a scene of working order. And just like Sarge said, when you get to the scene, the majority of the time they're patrolling there when we get there. They tell us everything that they found up to that point, and then they actually do a walkthrough with us, show us any evidence that they found up to that point, and then they release it to us for our investigation to begin. We start doing an assessment of the scene, start looking for any possible evidence that we would like to collect. Documentation, you can't take enough notes. Photograph the scene, we do a scene diagram, collect the evidence, and then we process the scene, and I'll show you some processing methods as well. This is what normal scene diagram notes look like. That's only one page, depending on the scene, how big it is. We may be on a scene from 1 hour up to about 2 or 3 days, depending on how big the scene is. And this is just one page of notes. Now, because of technology, now we have iPads that Gary helped us. I think your office downloaded the software so we can use the notes on the iPad. Scene sketch, we have a program, a CAD program that helps us. We'll be able to do scene sketches and put the furniture and everything, all that's downloaded into the program. Trust me, you need that program because if I did it by hand, you wouldn't understand anything about it. So that's why we use the program. Evidence, proper packaging, and chain of custody. There are certain ways that need to be packaged. Again, when we talk about court proceedings, we need to have a chain of custody. We need to know where that evidence was collected from, where it went, once it was collected, all the way until it's presented in court, and then we release it to the investigators in court. Using proper PPE, personal protection, as well as trying to prevent cross-contamination. You can see that she has the gloves, the bodysuit, the mask, and she's collecting shell casings at a scene. This is our APHIS system. When he mentioned fingerprints, this is an automated fingerprint identification system. We're able to collect fingerprints that are collected at the scene. We're able to search through a local database. If it doesn't hit locally, then we're able to search it through DPS and FBI. So you have a driver's license, you've applied for certain jobs where you have to be fingerprinted, all that's stored in, and if that person happened to do a crime and the fingerprints are collected, we're able to run it through the system, and you can see where it gives us a certain amount of respondents, but then the human element is still needed because the computer is going to give you a possibility, and then you have to do a manual comparison to make sure that that person is identified. Now we also have NIBIN, which is National Integrated Ballistics, where we're able to take shell casings, photograph them, send them off to the ATF or DEA, and they're able to let us know if that shell casing is actually linked to a weapon from another case. So again, it's a tool and we're working with other investigators. Because that shell casing that's linked to your murder may be linked to a murder from the city. So we're able to work together. This is what our labs look like. You can see these are actual powder stations. We're processing evidence of fingerprints. We have the chemical lab in the back, and then you can see multiple tools that we use depending on what's needed. So when we talk about processing, especially for fingerprints, this was on a dope case. So just because it's fingerprints, you may come up with other types of evidence. I've worked a scene to where we've collected 112 kilos of cocaine, even though we had 2 decedents. We've also had a serial killer here in Houston. It wasn't advertised on the news, but this is the type of scenes that, as an investigator, you would have to go to. So you can see this was processed using a chemical to see if there were any fingerprints on the plastic. The plastic was superglued using regular superglue. It forms a film that adheres the fingerprint to the item. Then we use the chemical and a forensic light, and now you can see the fingerprint that you couldn't see before. So they even develop a fingerprint, capture that in the photograph, and then we're able to run it through the system that I spoke about. Again, we use a lot of chemicals like presumptive blood. This was a cell phone that was collected from a scene where you don't see the blood on it. But then once we use the chemical you can get a positive reaction showing that there is actually blood on the cell phone. So now I can send that cell phone off to the ME's office for DNA analysis, and hopefully less than a year, I'll get my response. This is the beginning of a report. Now keep in mind, if I work a suicide, the report may be 3 pages. If I work a homicide, it may be 12 pages. Next week, I go to court on a triple homicide, it's like 26 pages. So education and writing analysis, the skill to write is needed. So this forensic investigation is a start, and it's going to open avenues if you're interested. Like there's a job posting right now where they need fingerprint analysts to be stationed here, but to go overseas and work 6 months out of the year. And their start pay is $100K. And they can't find anybody to fill these positions. Also, I was notified that in West Virginia, they're looking for a biometrics person to go over. And again, they cannot fill these positions. So if you're definitely interested, we do have some internships here locally that I can give you information on. There are like 4 departments, and they have them every summer, and there are 2 departments that have them year round. So if you're interested in internships in reference to forensics, and the majority of interns actually get hired by local department, just to let you know. So if you're interested, please get with me or get with Professor Carter. She's in the back. Get with her, and we will give you the information that you need. Any questions? I was in my time.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. Any questions in reference to forensics? Yes, ma'am. So I think everybody has their own out, whether it's, you can't take your work home. This is the type of work that you cannot take home to your family. So everybody has their own out. Mine is cars. So I'll go out to the shop and I may be working out there cars for 2 to 3 days. So not continuously, but 2 to 3 days. And that's my out. Well, some of them you have to seek counseling to deal with it. And that's not a bad thing. You know, it's normal. So everybody will have to develop their own way of dealing with these kinds of things. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so any comments for the students in the for forensic chemistry major?
So definitely, I would, if you're in a forensic, if you're in a physical science and you want to go into forensics, the ME's office downtown has an internship, and you can pick the area that you would like to do the internship in, whether it's DNA, epidemiology, archaeology. They have all the departments, and you can choose where you would like to do your internship, and guaranteed that will help you out. And Sam Houston, which is right up the street, they have a body form where they actually have the bodies out and they're able to see how they decompose and decay and how climate plays a part in that. So you can take tours, you can get your instructor to arrange tours to take you up there to the body form to actually see if you're interested in the science.
Thank
you. Yes, sir. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Oh, okay, okay. Right, that's the one I went to.
Yeah,
Texas State.
yeah.
No, they had one, Hobbs. He was a security guard that lived out east. And he was a security guard, but he was killing prostitutes. And what he would do, he would abduct these prostitutes, put them in this minivan that he had, ride them around, and he wanted to be a police officer. So he had all the gear, all the guns, all the bullets. But what would excite him, he would actually ride around and read police novels to them. While they were tied up in duct tape, he would ride around, read these police novels, sexually assault them, and if they put up a fight, he would kill them. And we were able to find his DNA on a pair of handcuffs and a witness gave an identified the van that he was driving. And we were able to finally find him. The DNA was matched. And he was in jail for, I think he was in the county jail for 10 years before he finally went to trial. Any other questions? None? Oh, yes, ma'am. So it depends on where you want to go in the field of forensics, but the first step would be that internship. Because if you just try to go as a graduate, don't want to apply, you're not going to have the education or the information that you need. So I think the internship will help you. But Harris County is one of the few left that use officers. The majority of the departments around us that have them are all using civilians right now. So you can, but you may have to find an alternate route. Like we have a young lady, she got hired with the county as a legal clerk. She waited for a position to open in crime scene, applied for it. She was already with the county. She got the position. Now she got the position that she wanted in the beginning, but she had to spend 6 months in legal waiting. Any other questions? Good.
No, I'm like, we have one more.
Oh,
We'll have some time, everyone, at the end. Thank you so much. Let's give a hand for Mr. Clayton. That was awesome. Okay, let me go ahead and introduce our final speakers. How's everybody enjoying themselves? So our final speaker, again, Mr. Spurgeon. Spurgeon. Bam, there it is. Okay. All right. So Gary Spurger began his law enforcement career in 1989 with the San Marcos Police Department. In 1993, he transitioned to Harris County Constable's Office, Precinct 4, where he served as a patrol duty officer. Over the years, Gary explored various roles within law enforcement, including canine handler, parks unit officer, field training officer known as FTO, and crime scene photographer. Eventually rose to the position of lieutenant. While at Harris County Constable's Office, Precinct 4, he contributed significantly to the technical service unit and was instrumental in establishing Harris County's first cybercrime unit. That's exciting. In 2000 through 2001, Gary was part of a team that apprehended the first female traveler on record as documented by the FBI. Under his leadership, the cybercrime unit expanded from 2 to 4 members and gained national recognition for its investigative achievements. In 2003, Gary joined the Internet Crime Against Children, ICAC task force and became a founding member of the Houston Metro ICAC in 2007. As deputy commander for 2 years, he developed the expertise in computer and cell phone forensics and lab management. Cell phones, that's interesting. Hear about that. In 2015, Gary transitioned to the Harris County Sheriff's Office to establish the first high-tech crime unit. Starting with 6 personnel within a small office, he grew the unit into 27 professionals specializing in mobile device forensics, video forensic, technical operations, and supported the FBI Regional Computer Forensics Lab. In 2023, Gary was appointed to the Director of Information Technology for HCO, overseeing 71 technical staff responsible for hardware support. Application programming, NIBRS, reporting, digital evidence management, and continuing high-tech crime unit oversight. Gary holds a Master Peace Officer license and is affiliated with several congressional organizations. including the High Tech Crime Investigator Association, the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. He also he also is a graduate, of Leadership Command College and was number 58, where he researched papers formed by the basis of Texas TQUOS 3210 Basic Cyber Crime Certification course. He's a holder of numerous certifications in cell phone forensics and is an IACIS Certified Forensics Computer Examiner. Gary has been married for over 32 years. Awesome. And has 2 grown children. His daughter is a deaf educator in Sherman ISD. That's awesome. And has a son who works as a technical specialist in diesel mechanics at the Port of Houston. Everybody, let's give a round of applause for Mr. Gary Sperger.
This is a long talk. If I talk this entire time, you have a little bit of speak about it. Because you guys all been here already all day, right? I've been working all day. It's time for nap time. I'm gonna go on Facebook. How many have your phone with you? I mean, who didn't bring their phone? I don't think you can look at your phone and say, hey Siri, and it opens up and talks to you. Or, hey Google, and it talks to you. I'm gonna make this Siri call. You do know that phone was listening to you all the time. Not just when you say, hey Siri. How many times have you been talking about something, like the pink elephant in the room, then you went to Google later and you looked at your Gmail account, and on the right side of the screen, they're trying to sell you pink elephants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your phone is listening to you all the time. So we can talk about computer forensics, or we can talk about investigation. But both. Whatever you want to talk about. I can get way down the weeds on investigations. Who here's a geek? You're geeky. So you know what binary is, right? What binary is. Oh, it is forensics. Everything. How many of you watched the show The Matrix? Anybody who's seen the show The Matrix? Oh, I'm not that old. There's 3 of them. Yeah, there's 1. Yeah, in the movie, they all see these numbers just falling down in front of the screen. Just numbers. In the classes I teach, I actually get up on the stage and I put a clock on the stage. And the clock is just a bunch of dots. And they're arranged in a very specific order. And that order represents a binary number. Everything you do in the computer is strictly a binary number. What I mean by that is it's either on or off, and based on how many ons or how many offs, it equates to an actual number. Between 0 and 56. Actually, 255 is the top number. There's 256 spaces because 0 is a space. So 0 to 255 equals 256 numbers. Everything you do within your computer world is based around that simple requirement. Now, in computer forensics, we start to pull all that apart. My guy, we play games in binary. Sometimes you get pretty out of it. Did you forget what you were doing? In the world of computer forensics, everything you do leaves a footprint. You know, he was talking about leaving a fingerprint on the black sheet, right? You go look at it by putting certain chemicals to it, and it shows up. Everything you do on the internet, everywhere you go, everybody you text, everybody you call, everything you look at leaves a footprint. How many of you have used a web browser today? Went and typed in something and went looking for something on the internet. So when we start talking about computer forensics and computer investigation, my guys have to actually understand how that piece of software works. How do you think that works?
Maybe thought about it? I mean, it's actually pretty phenomenal how that thing works. When you put in, you went to Google, right? You opened up Chrome and you typed in, I don't know, Mercedes, and you hit enter. Right? And it took you to a representation of all the different pages available to you. Then maybe Mercedes.com. This is the coolest Mercedes ever, or maybe Jalopnik, or one of the other websites. How do you think that stuff got there? Let me tell you a quick secret. You never go to the internet. Surprise, you're not going to a website. That website's coming to you. So think about that for a moment. If you are looking for something realistic, you're looking for picking a little kid, and you go, well, I wouldn't go with that. But you're right. You didn't go look at that. It came to you. Guess where it sits now? Are you in possession now? Yeah, pretty much. So from the computer forensics guy's perspective, I'm hunting down what you went to say. When you type in a website, type in google.com, that computer doesn't have a clue what google.com means. It couldn't care. It doesn't know. There is no such website as google.com. It doesn't exist. How many of you realize that the color purple doesn't exist? Don't believe me, go look it up later. The color purple is actually your mind tying two different colors together by wavelength. However, when you go to a website, you type in google.com, you actually send a request to a set of servers that go, hey man, this dude, he's looking for google.com. Oh, look, it's a .com address. So I got to go use a specific set of servers. Oh, look, it starts with G. And then it starts looking for Google. When it finds it, it says, hey, that google.com, that's actually the IP address, and it gives you an IP address. That IP address is then sent back to your computer. Your computer then takes that information and it goes to the server that has that IP address. It says, hey, I want to get, that's the actual command, by the way, get all the data that makes this web page. And that server sends all that stuff back to your computer. Pictures, text. How do you think it sends it back to your computer? Does it send how does it send a picture? Have you thought about it? Is it like when you go to the printer, you hit print and the thing comes out, there's a picture? It doesn't actually do that. How do you think that picture gets there? What format do you think it shows up to you in? I told you the very first thing what everything revolves around. Starts with a B, ends with a Y. It's binary. Sends everything to you in a binary format. If you were to look at it in raw, you'd never even know what it was. Your computer is smart enough to spit it back out. That's where the computer forensics guy comes into play. We can take that data that's spit back out and I can recreate it. If you think you deleted it, yeah, you didn't delete anything. All you really did was told the computer, I really don't need that right now. So unmark it. And that's really all it did. That bucket that holds the data you just want to go look at is still sitting there. All I have to do is put it back together. And based on certain rules and requirements, based on the operating system, some are a little more difficult than others, but they all work kind of the same. Apple's a little harder. Let me ask you this question. Do you have who here has Android? There's no Android phone? So I guess the rest of you have Apple phones? Really? Is that what it is? Wow. You know, it's funny because when I used to ask that question a long time ago, who here has no cell phone? And some people raise their hands and others wouldn't. And now it's like, if you don't raise your hand, they all look at you. Well, you don't have a phone? Did your mama get mad at you or something? Which phone do you think is more secure? The Android phone or the Apple phone? And I'll throw another one in there. Do you remember the old Windows phones? We'll throw Windows in there, just have an extra. What's the most secure phone? Windows, Apple, or Android? You say Android? Okay, who says Apple? Who says Windows? You guys are all afraid to answer now? You're like, I'm not saying nothing. You think Android? Your iPhone? The most secure phone that on the market at the time was Windows by a long shot. By a long shot, because it used Windows authentication to make it go, just like you would on your PC. Now today, between Android and Apple, it is every day of the street, it's Apple. It is not Android. Think about this for a moment. In Android, and this is where you start thinking as a computer guy, in Android, I am HTC, I've come up with a brand new phone, I have this device, I need an operating system to make it go. Hey, Google, can I use your operating system? And Google says, sure, $5 a handset. Okay, fine, I'll pay you $5 a handset. I'm putting Android on this device. Hey, Verizon, I've got this new device that has Android on it. I want to sell it on your network. And she says, okay, but we have to test it first. Okay, here's the phone. So they test it for 6 months. They go, pretty good phone, I'll make some changes. Oh, by the way, you got to have NFL Red Zone, MLB Network, all this other stuff. Oh, and you have to have the My Verizon app on it, period. Okay, gotcha. So I take it back. I go to Google. Hey, Google, I need you to fix this for me. Put it on here, and I send it back to her. Is it good? She says, yes, it goes. How many people or how many companies touch that device? A whole bunch. Who's responsible for updating that device? Think about it for a minute. Is it HTC, the guy that made it? Is it Google, who made the operating system? Or is it Verizon that's selling it? Who's responsible for updating that phone? That's the whole question. Really, who's responsible? Because if I'm the guy that made the phone, I just use his operating system. And he says, but you just use my operating system the way I sold it. They're selling it. So why wouldn't Verizon update it? Then Verizon's going to come back to me and say, well, you made it, so why aren't you updating? You see the vicious circle that starts to happen? Now think about Apple. Apple is a wholly centric vertical company. They own the entire process from the time the first guy put pen to paper, designed the device, made it look like he wanted it to, and then made it all the way through to the Apple Store, actually even Verizon or anybody else who sells it. They own that whole process, everything. So have you ever noticed, so all of you that have iPhones, have you noticed that if she gets an iPhone update, you did too? So did you. You got an update. Do you know who's updating that device? Apple, because they own the whole thing. When was the last time you got an update for Android? Actually got a real update. Have to go look now. Because that's so fractured. I bought a really nice Android tablet one time, one of the Samsung tablets. Was so excited. I loved it. Started playing with it. And in 3 months, it went, oh, we're sorry, we're not going to be updating your device. Like, when I just bought the thing, man, it was like $500. And that's because it was made through that process where it's fractured. So at that point, from a computer forensics standpoint, believe it or not, the Apple phone is much harder for us to get into because it's so vertically aligned with their requirements. I can find hooks on Android all the time. We can get into lots of Android phones. Apple phones, little more info. Any ideas what it would cost to process an Apple phone? Or just a phone in general? So you come to me and you say, hey, law enforcement agency, process his cell phone till he's using a homicide. How much do you think all the stuff that we have to process that cell phone is going to cost? There's a real number to it. So I'm the director of IT for the largest sheriff's office in the state of Texas, third largest in the United States. My bill that I paid to Cellbrite, which is one company, right? You played with it, right, Brian? One company. So my Cellbrite last year was $365,000. That's a lot of money. So I need to process a whole lot of phones to make those phones by sheer volume. price go down. But that's only one tool. I have several other tools we use to become very expensive. In the world of computer forensics, you can spend a little bit and get started, but at the end of the day, it's going to start to get expensive. The typical cost of a forensics tool, and there's a bunch of them. In cybercrime forensics capacity, you have a process for cybercrime investigators, which we wrote several years ago. So you can get a basic certification on what it takes to know how to do cybercrime. What is an IP address? What does it mean? How do you get the information? How do you lock down information? What does a router do? What does your browser do? What does a hard drive do? Things like that that you need to know. In the forensic side of that, you get certified in tools. So you may have 10 tools. You're going to go get certified in those 10 tools. There's not really a singular certification for forensics guys. I mean, there's stuff like I have an IASIS certification for computer forensics. The FBI has their certification. Secret Service has their certification. DOJ has their certification. And all it is they say, okay, I want you to get certified in Cellbrite and Axiom. I want you to get certified in FTK. And they teach you the tools. A lot of the tools do a lot of the same things, but it's important to realize that if you have a toolbox, do you only want one tool in that toolbox, or do you want a bunch of tools? So if I answer the question, I'm going to be asleep in about 10 seconds. Somebody's going to answer. I want a bunch of tools like that, a bunch of tools, because they all do something a little bit different. They get you the stuff you need to make your cases good. Quick case. Had a guy who was a laparoscopic surgeon. So like take your appendix out, stuff on the inside, laparoscopic. Nice guy. He operated on an individual, did the surgery, and that guy was not happy with the surgery because the doctor wouldn't keep giving him narcotics for the pain. The guy pretty much got himself hooked. Well, he was already hooked before he had the surgery. He wanted pain pills. Doctor said no. Well, about a month later, he starts hearing stuff from his friends, the doctor does, about his crazy website that is just like off the charts. He's like, what? And this doctor's name was like, so one of them would be like Dr. Phil Leggett, or his real website, the one that he actually owned, was Phil Leggett. But when you went to Dr. Phil Leggett, it had stuff on there that looked exactly like the real website, same pictures and everything, but it said stuff like, oh, we're going to only kill half of our patients. We will cause you the most pain possible. Your insurance company is going to hate us. I mean, just crazy stuff. So we had to start finding out how to hunt this guy down. And all that stuff was done through the internet. How many of you actually have your own website? Nobody? We have these, okay. So when you did your website, you had to register a domain. So when you register a domain name, are you on a hosted service or do you host yourself? Okay. Even on a hosted server though, you still have an IP address. Now there's other websites on your server, but you have an IP address. You start learning how to backtrack all that data and information, because say he was the guy that was doing it, he's going to obfuscate how to figure out who he is. So you start learning how to hunt all that down. You start learning how to grab all that data to make reports. You start learning what those IP addresses, what does the DNS record, what are the domain names? All that stuff is out there. I mean, there's a ton of it. I know she's probably over there doing this, right? I'm not looking. I'm just checking. Do you guys have any questions so far about this? Understand the world of computer forensics. I teach a 40-hour class on a basic investigative course. Basic course. I teach a 40-hour class in file sharing. Just how you run a file sharing. How do people share files across the internet? Like, you guys have seen BitTorrent, right? You guys know what BitTorrent is? BitTorrent, Shiraza, LimeWire, any of that? So you've seen it. So we teach classes and how to hunt people down using those tools. 40 hours, what it actually is. So there's a lot of stuff in the world of computer forensics that you can jump off into, and it can be, to me, it's a lot of fun. I love it. It's about the chase. I've kicked indoors. I've run. Don't even lie to you. You got it over? He's been with us on a lot of search. So it's, when I say a lot of search warrants, I'm talking like in 500 to 1,000. Finding bad guys. However, we all had to get to a point where we were capable of doing that through training. Same thing with computer forensics. You train, you learn. There is so much stuff in your world right now, your age right now, that's changing so freaking fast. If you're not currently subscribed to something like Flipboard or Viewfinder or Nibble or some of these other ones that actually aggregate information, that you can say, I want to know about technology, aggregate it so you can read the technology and see the stuff that Microsoft, see the stuff that Apple's changed, because it's going to affect you. What they decide to do with their devices today affects you tomorrow. How it functions, how it works. I mean, can any of you guys even tell me why there's your Apple folks? Why is the bubble green? Do you know? You know when you're texting and somebody texts back and it's green? Oh, not because it's Android. That's what they tell me. It's because it's an SMS message, not Apple message. Do you know the difference? Well, you're close. iMessage runs across the internet, right, to the iCloud account. SMS runs across the cellular system to the phone number. Completely different. That's why you can do text messaging on your MacBook that looks like your cell phone. I text from my MacBook, my tablet, my phone. If I've got an Apple device, I'm texting. I don't have to have my phone. Drives my wife nuts. I got one more thing. Think about this for a minute when you leave, how technology changes. How many of you have an Alexa or a Google Pod? I got Alexa all over my house. My house is totally automated. I don't carry keys. I show up, the house unlocks for me. Lights come on, temperatures change. It's all automated. But think about this. In the world of Alexa, I can tell Alexa, hey Alexa, call Oscar. Okay. I'm talking to Oscar across Alexa. My son now calls me on my cell phone. Hey Christopher, what's up? I'm doing 2 communications. But I only have one cell phone number. What do you think showed up on his phone when he answered the phone? My number. What do you think Christopher called to get to me? My number, my phone number. That's because you have other devices that can make voice over internet protocol conversational phone calls without your cellular device. So you as an investigator or computer forensics guy, how do you prove that to that guy? Think about it for a minute. Well, because if I didn't know that, if you didn't know in my house that I was using Alexa to make phone calls, you would never ask Meta for my records that showed the connection to him. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff. No, the thing I think something else. Although let's wrap that up a little bit. How does your cell phone communicate? When you make a phone call, when you call, so she calls one of you, how does that phone call get to you? It's a cell phone, right? So does it just go from her to her? Where does it go? Oh, you think it too far. Where does it go? Cell phone call is actually voice over IP. As soon as you make the phone call, it's a tower. The tower converts it to IP-based information, puts it in the ground, runs across the internet, comes back out the tower closest to you, and it pops back out in cellular format. There is, unless you have a phone that has the two wires on it, you know, like the old dial phone number, right? There's no track like that. It doesn't happen. Everything is across the internet, including your cell phone call. You just didn't realize. Yeah, you have a question? Huh? They're all connected to the same iCloud. There's a singular point of communication for Apple that jumps into your iCloud. Now, you can text across your iPhone through your Windows computer now too. It's called Phone Link. You can do it today.
And they were gonna go now, transition over to question and answer. We have to be out at 4 o'clock.
So in cybersecurity, you're going down the right path. That's where everything's going. Is cybersecurity. And unfortunately, we don't have enough of them. We don't have enough CISOs out there just because there's just so much. I mean, think about it. I can get on your network right here. And if I can see your computer, I'm in, right? Unless you have it really well locked up. But on the flip side, if I get on your network and you have ports shut down and a good filter running and a good firewall up, yeah, I can't get in, but then you can't really get out to do what you need to do. So there's going to always be a compromise you have to deal with. Yeah.
What about the road? What about the robotics that we use?
They have an agreement. So the first pixels were made by companies like HTC, LG, a bunch of companies made pixel phones under Google's direction. The nice part behind the pixel is Google will update whatever handset they contract with. So that's not quite as vertical. I mean, not quite as vertical as Apple, but it's substantially more vertical than Samsung or Nokia or any of those, because they don't have that tight integration. Does that answer your question? Because Google doesn't actually make the handset. They contract. But they're the parent who contracts.
The monthly security of the
Oh yeah, I would do every single update. If you have Windows 10 on your computer, October 24th, throw it in the garbage can. Because Windows 10 dies. It dies a painful and horrible death.
That's time for two, sorry, 2 more questions.
All you methods run of the VPN connection.
They're not as secure as everybody thinks that. Now VPNs, in their normal format, they're pretty freaking secure. Where the link that breaks down is in the end. So if I start looking for you and I see that you're coming out of, say, Germany, I can go to that company and go, hey, who was coming through that tunnel at the time? What was the source? That's the source IP address. And if they kept the records, which a lot of them do, I'll get your data. Now, if you can find a company that doesn't do that, which there are companies out there that do not keep records, yeah, you're good. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. because that apple, they replicate the both sides. So whatever you get on one, you get on the other. So everybody talks about, oh, I have somebody who's hacking my phone. I have somebody who's hacking my account, they're solving. Well, 9 times out of 10, it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and things. And one of them shared the other iTunes account, and I can follow that. Oh, well, I changed my password. Okay, but did you think to go change your recovery questions? Right, because if my wife, we've been married 32 years, I'm not so sure what the questions I can come up with that she wouldn't know the answer to. So you're gonna have to come up with something that they don't know the answer to. PIN numbers? Never use a PIN number that's associated to you. No date of birth, no license plate, right? None of that. Go get you some dice, roll them, and learn the number. You think I'm kidding, but I'm asking, because it's not associated to you. You were the only person who saw the dice. Nobody else can get that. But if it's your birthday or your boyfriend's birthday, or your mom's date of birth, or any of that kind of stuff, your dog's name. How many? I'm gonna date myself. Oh my gosh. How many of you saw the? Not was it Clear and Present Danger? Yeah, Clear and Present Danger. It's a movie, Clear and Present Danger. There's a part in it where they bring a disc to a guy at a computer company and says, "Okay, get into it." Guy starts getting into it, and they're like, "Well, this is gonna take a while." Remember? Like, "Oh, it's gonna take a long time." They give him a cup of coffee. Like, guy starts laughing. "Oh, I got it." And he starts working on it, and they walk away. And they're like, "He's in a movie." As he's walking away, he goes, "Huh, got it." And they're like, "What?" Husband's date of birth, or husband's birth month, wife's birthday, kid's year. They're like, "There you go, got it." So don't ever do stuff like that. Something totally random. Totally random. Go ahead. All yours.
Give it up, okay? Thank you all so much. Some good information. I feel a little guilty about those passwords, but we're gonna all do
Whatever you do, don't put them on December. You know what I'm talking about? Jackie is like, oh. You know the calendars you get for your desk? Do not put them on December. Don't put them behind December.
on the back. So, I want to just take some time to just, for you guys, so thank you for coming out and taking time out of the day to enjoy to the speakers. Actually, I have a little token for you all. I want to give a special shout out, Miss Carter. Thank you so much. Actually, I have some 50 for you. Thank you so much, because a lot of the people that are here today were recommended by you. And also I see Dr. Centron in the back. Thank y'all so much for coming out. Also Mr. Collier. Mr. Collier. Saying it right. Oh, I just knew it, sorry. Mr. Cantrell, my apologies about that. But Mr. Cantrell, thank you for coming out. Thank you for bringing your class. I want to actually present this for Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter, I have this for you. So this is your certificate. And also I want to present a token of appreciation to all of our guests for today. Mr. Thurston, you. And again, for the students, I would definitely encourage you all, if you have some time, if you have some time, please connect and really get the information from our speakers that came out today. They provided a lot of valuable information. Also, we have for Mr. Clayton as well. Well, all the speakers y'all just come for that. For everybody. So thank you so much for your time. This is appreciation for us from our services. And then I know we have some time left. We're kind of transitioning. Does anybody else have any other questions? Or you can see the speakers after Mrs. Berger. Also, you. And then also, this is for you as well. Thank you so much. This is awesome. So this is something you will, this is something that we will definitely, look on expounding for next semester. I'm kind of feeling the field trip for this, what was it, the body farm, somebody said, like a body farm? I would like to really see how that works, so I may be talking to them about field trip maybe for next semester. Which one? Oh. Oh, no, I may not need to go with this. Just thought about that, yes, bodies are decomposing. So any other questions, or like I said, from, Dr. Centron's here, any of our other, professors, would you like to say any final words?
About an internship, but remember that it's a student. And the internship, this is out. I guess. So, once you meet, we'll see you on the day that about to, and start the shop there. Please leave you point to the rest of it.
Have an internship for forensic art too.
Awesome, thank y'all so much. Thank you for, zooming in your class. Thank y'all, have a good one.